In this lesson, we're going to take a look at the DeFi financial stack, the interoperability between protocols, and how composability among everything allows us to put them together and build totally new products and services that are far more open and efficient than the legacy system. There are many categories that comprise the financial stack of DeFi, but we're just going to focus on the main ones. First are decentralized exchanges. Now these are pretty self-explanatory. Rather than having a company facilitate the exchange of cryptos, a protocol does it for you. There are many different DEXs, and most of them share the same basic structure from a user experience perspective. We'll cover individual DEXs during our DEX deep dive later in the course though. Second part of the DeFi financial stack are stablecoins. A stablecoin is a token that is pegged to the value of another asset or currency. This is usually the US dollar, although there are stablecoins of other fiat currencies as well. The benefit of these is that you get the permissionless nature of crypto with the relative stability of the dollar. Now, the most popular stablecoins are all centralized, and some of them have very questionable reserves. Tether. Excuse me. What I meant to say was Tether. Tether has very questionable reserves. There are decentralized stablecoins, however. MakerDAO's DAI and Terra's UST are really good examples there. Third in the financial stack are money markets. These are the lending and borrowing markets that serve as another core layer of DeFi. As I said in my video on what DeFi is, money markets replace the lending and borrowing services offered by banks. MakerDAO was the first one here, but we'll also talk about Compound and Aave, and then we'll do some tutorials with Aave. Fourth will be synthetics. These are assets that are designed to simulate the value of other financial instruments. Synthetics are derivatives in that their value is derived from other assets. Now, this can be confusing to beginners, but in many cases, it's simple. For example, stablecoins are synthetics because they derive their value from the currency they're pegged to. Synthetics can also bring Bitcoin onto the Ethereum network with wrapped BTC or Ren BTC, but they can get far more broad than that. We can have synthetic stocks, so you can have exposure to the price of the Tesla stock without actually owning it. The global derivatives market is over $1.2 quadrillion, and crypto synthetics are poised to capture a significant amount of that, maybe even all of it over a long enough time period. But this is a bit beyond DeFi 101, so our synthetics deep dive will be in DeFi 201 after we've learned the basics. Now, the last part of the DeFi financial stack we'll cover here is insurance. And this one is a bit surprising to me because there are tens of billions of dollars locked in DeFi, and less than 2% of it is insured. To me, this means there aren't good enough insurance protocols out there yet, but we'll get into that later. Here is how decentralized insurance works. I want to put my funds into a protocol and earn yield on it, but I want to insure my funds in the case of a hack, smart contract bug, oracle, or governance attack, so I purchase coverage on it. I will have to pay a premium on that insurance, and that premium I pay goes into a liquidity pool. The people who deposit funds into that pool earn from my premium, but if there's a payout, it's going to come out of the pool funds. This way, there is no insurance company, once again eliminating the middleman. Decentralized insurance is another thing that we will cover more in depth in DeFi 201. Now, as I said, there are other categories in DeFi. Identity is a big one that needs to be solved. Prediction markets and gambling are another big one. Decentralized gaming is kind of a part of DeFi as well, although that one probably deserves its own course at this point. However, in this course, we're going to focus on DEXs, stablecoins, and money markets. Now let's look at how DeFi protocols can work together and build off of one another. A key difference between CeFi and DeFi is interoperability and composability. In CeFi, software companies are incentivized to make sure their software is the one that companies stick with, so they make it incompatible with competing software. That way they can build their strategy around making sure their clients never leave their tech stack, which maximizes the use of their software and they make more profit from it. A good example of this strategy that isn't directly related to finance but is more approachable is Apple. If you're an iPhone user, it's very easy for Apple to convince you to use their other products like the MacBook or Apple Watch and their services like Apple Pay and Apple Music. They have this whole walled garden that they create. But when we take that concept and we apply it to banking, accounting, reporting, tracking, global payments, and other software, you can see how these incompatibilities can leave huge pain points and inefficiencies, especially among different countries. Because these software companies don't offer the user experience that Apple does, the pain points are huge. But in DeFi, the incentives are switched because when you build a protocol, You want it to be interoperable with as many existing protocols as possible. You want people to be able to integrate your borrowing and lending protocol into their decentralized exchange protocol, because then you both benefit and the users benefit. You create a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. Protocols that lack this interoperability will get left behind simply because people are going to choose the ones that do integrate seamlessly with one another. So how does this work? As I mentioned previously, Ethereum created the required infrastructure for this. Ethereum is a platform for smart contracts that has the security in place which other protocols can use so they don't have to make their own blockchains. Ethereum also has the ERC20 fungible token standard, which provides a template for token creators to easily mint tokens that all follow the same rules. Ethereum is the main one we're focusing on, but there are many other protocols which allow DeFi to be built upon them. This includes Cardano, Algorand, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Elrond. There's so many others. Building on that layer, we have borrowing and lending protocols like MakerDAO, Compound, and Aave. Each of these protocols approach borrowing and lending in different ways, and they offer different things, which we'll get into when we do our dedicated lesson on money markets. Beyond that, we have decentralized exchanges, which allow you to trade your tokens without any counterparty risk, as I got into. Again, we'll do a dedicated lesson on DEXs with a focus on Uniswap, but also on several others. In each of these cases, there are easy-to-use interfaces that allow the average person to swap their tokens, or deposit funds for lending out, or deposit collateral for borrowing. But the UI you see when you go to this site, it's just that. It's an interface that actually connects to the protocol. The actual protocol lives on the blockchain and is accessible to anyone. So, for example, Ledger Live software that goes with the Ledger hardware wallet can allow you to borrow and lend using these protocols directly within the software. Or an app developer can connect with one or many DEXs, find the best price for you among them, taking into consideration slippage, available liquidity, transaction fees. This is what aggregators like 1inch and Total do, but it's also what MetaMask does for their swap service, and it's a feature that I expect we'll see in almost every wallet in the future. Going beyond the basics, the options for interoperability and composability become virtually endless. We can decentralize insurance with Nexus Mutual so you're protected in the event of a bug or a hack. As I mentioned in the History of DeFi lesson, a project like Yearn Finance can connect with different protocols and automatically put your liquidity wherever it will earn the most yield. Or projects like Zerion or Zapper or Roki can provide a full dashboard connecting many protocols as well as your wallet so you can access and track your portfolio all in one place. There are obviously too many combinations to mention here. DeFi Prime alone lists 257 different projects. That means if you were to randomly select 3 different projects and combine them in different ways, there would be almost 17 million different combinations from those 257 projects. And DeFi Prime doesn't even list all DeFi projects. The main points I want to make here is that the interoperability and composability of DeFi creates the infrastructure and incentives that will lead to the most efficient, open, accessible, and robust financial system the world has ever seen. That said, we're not even close to being there yet, and we've definitely got some growing pains ahead of us, so we need to be mindful our excitement and exuberance doesn't get us in a bad spot. The added complexity by making these interoperable and composable absolutely increases the risks, which we'll cover soon, but first we're going to take a deep look at our own personal security. Now, there are no tasks for this lesson because I promise you're going to have your hands full with all the tasks in the next lesson, where you're going to learn to audit your personal digital security. It's going to be fun.